So you get to chapter 3, and in chapter 3, verse 1, it says the serpent was very shrewd. The serpent was very crafty.
Dolazimo u 3. poglavlje i tu se opisuje zmija koja je bila vrlo lukava, vrlo mudra.
And that word that's translated shrewd or crafty
I ta riječ mudra i lukava
is the opposite of the idea of innocence and nothing hidden.
je suprotnost od one ideje nevinosti i iskrenosti.
Anytime you talk about someone with this kind of language, you mean that they've got a hidden agenda.
Svaki put kad govorite o nekome tim jezikom, onda kažete da ima neke skrivene planove od vas.
They have something that they want to accomplish or something that they want to do that they're not telling you about.
Imaju neku agendu koju žele postići, nešto što žele ispuniti za sebe.
And that's what the serpent is like.
I to je zmija.
So, sin comes into the world, the serpent tempts the woman.
Znači, grijeh ulazi u svijet, zmija kuša ženu.
And we talked about this, but I want to revisit it. We talked about it last week, but I want to revisit it.
I o tome smo razgovarali prošli tjedan, ali samo želim ponoviti.
Notice how the serpent tells her things that are kind of true.
Jeste primijetili da je zmija govori stvari koje su donekle istina,
but not completely true.
ali nije potpuna istina.
He tells her, well, you're not going to die.
On joj kaže, ma nećeš umreti.
God had told her, you'll die.
Jer je Bog rekao, umrećeš.
But they don't immediately die.
I istina je da nisu odmah umrli.
And so the serpent is kind of telling them the truth, but kind of not.
Znači, donekle im je zmija govorila istinu.
To tempt her, the serpent says, you'll be like God because you'll know the difference between good and evil.
Da bi ju dalje kušao, zmija je rekla, kušaj, jer ćeš znati razlikovati između dobra i zla.
And by experiencing rebellion, she does know something new about good and evil.
I samim iskušavanjem buntovnosti, ona doista doznaje nešto o dobru i zlu.
Now, from this story, what do you think Satan is like?
Iz te priče, što mislite, kakav je Sotona?
What is he
Kakva je
like?
zmija?
What is he like?
Crafty.
Crafty. Very smart.
Vrlo pametno.
What else?
Lažan.
He's deceitful.
Deceitful. The wisest of all animals.
He's very wise in a very particular kind of wisdom. Deceitful, that's a really good point.
Dobra je poanta to da je lažljiv.
Because he can tell 98% truth and only 2% lie, and if you believe the lie, you're in trouble.
Ima način na koji može reći nešto što je 98% istina, a 2% laž, i ako povjeruješ u tu istinu, nadragaćeš.
Have you ever gone fishing with a hook and bait?
Jeste li ikada pecali sa udicom?
You can put a very big fish on the hook.
Možeš uloviti na kuku jako veliku ribu.
And as long as the fish you're trying to catch doesn't swallow the part that has the hook in it, he's okay.
I dakle, možeš staviti jako veliki mamac na udicu. I dok god riba zagrize koji god dio mamca želi, u redu je.
I once fed a catfish. Do you have catfish here?
Som.
I once fed a catfish about 20 worms in one afternoon.
Jedno popodne sam pecao somove i valjda sam ih nahranio sa preko 20 crva.
Because I would put the worm on the hook and I would put the hook in the water.
Jer bi stavio crva na udicu, stavio udicu u vodu.
And that catfish knew how to pull the worm off the hook without swallowing the hook.
A som je pronašao način kako skinuti crva da ne zagrize udicu.
That's what Satan is like. Satan puts the hook in the truth. The lie is the hook, and he puts it in the truth.
Takav je Sotona sa svojim istinama. On stavlja udicu u svoje istine.
And he tells you, doesn't this look good? Doesn't this look like something that you want?
I kaže ti, zar ti ne izgleda ovo primamljivo? Zar ti ne izgleda ovo kao nešto što bih htio?
And it is good. It is something that you want.
I to često je nešto što ti želiš, kao što riba želi crva.
But somewhere in the middle of it's a hook.
Ali negdje usred toga je udica.
And when you swallow the hook, you're in trouble.
I kad progutaš udicu,
You're
onda si u problemima. Onda si ulovljen.
Okay. We said last week the serpent is trying to destroy their trust in God.
Zmija pokušava uništiti njihovo povjerenje u Boga.
The serpent says to them, God is holding out on you.
Zmija im kaže, Bog suzdržava nešto od vas.
If God wasn't mean, God would let you have this now.
Da Bog nije zao, onda bi vam dao da imate i to drugo.
God is being petty and mean.
Bog vas namjerno želi sputati.
By not letting you have this thing that you want.
Ne želi vam dati to nešto što vam treba.
Now we said last week that this is how people fall into trouble in the book of Genesis.
Rekli smo prošli put, ovako ljudi upadaju u probleme kroz cijelu knjigu Postanka.
And we see it with Rebecca and her husband when she deceives her husband.
Vidimo to i sa Rebekom i njezinim mužom kada ga ona prevarila.
And we see it with Abraham when God has promised him a son, but Abraham doesn't have a son, so he has sex with his servant instead.
Vidimo to i sa Abrahamom kojem je Bog rekao da će dobiti sina, a on je uzeo stvar u svoje ruke pa je spavao sa svojim sluškinjom.
So we said last week, in Genesis, people commit their worst sins.
U Postanku ljudi čine najgore grijehe.
When God has said he's going to give them something.
Kada im Bog kaže da će im nešto dati,
and they don't trust that he's going to do it.
Ali oni ne vjeruju Bogu da će to ispuniti.
And so they try to do it for themselves.
I onda to pokušaju učiniti sami.
So this is a pattern all the way through the book.
Znači to je jedan uzorak koji se ponavlja kroz cijeli Postanak.
Does Satan ever tempt us that way?
Kuša li Sotona nas na isti način?
Have you ever been tempted not to trust God for something good, but to try to find a way to get it yourself?
Jeste li ikada bili kušani da ne vjerujete Bogu da će nešto učiniti dobrim, nego da pokušate svojim snagama?
I want you to think about your life, and I want you to think, because I bet every one of us can find situations in our life.
Razmislite o svom životu, jer sam uvjeren da svako od nas ima situacije u svom životu gdje smo sami pokušali svojim snagama doći do nečega.
When this is what has happened to us.
I eto što nam se dogodilo.
Where Satan has said to us, well, God promised to give you something good, something fulfilling, something satisfying.
Sotona je rekao da će ti dati nešto dobro, da će ti dati nešto što te zadovoljava.
But God hasn't given it to you, so you may as well go get it yourself.
Ali budući da to do danas nisi primio, pa onda odi sam.
And what happens is we end up sinning.
I onda ulazimo u grijeh.
We end up disobeying God.
Kršimo obećanja prema Bogu, ne slušamo Boga.
But at the heart of it, we don't trust God.
Ali u suštini ne vjerujemo Bogu.
And these temptations are an opportunity for us to demonstrate that we can trust God.
I te kušnje su u stvari prilike za nas da dokažemo da vjerujemo Bogu.
Instead of trying to get something for ourselves.
Umjesto da pokušavamo dobiti nešto za sebe.
This is another lesson that runs all the way through Genesis.
Ovo je još jedna lekcija koja se proteže kroz Postanak.
That God's timing is perfect.
Da je Božji timing savršen.
And God's way of doing things, even when it's different from our way of doing things, is perfect.
I Božji način na koji radi stvari, čak i kad se razlikuje od načina na koji bi mi to napravili, njegov način je savršen.
We haven't seen too many examples of that yet.
Još nismo vidjeli prave primjere toga,
but we will.
Ali vidjet ćemo.
All right, what does this story teach us about temptation? We kind of hit that. What does the story teach us about the nature of sin?
Što nam ta priča govori o prirodi grijeha?
What does it teach us about sin? How would you characterize the sin here? Okay, we have consequences for sin.
Grijeh je nešto što nas odvaja od Boga. Znači ima posljedice.
That it breaks our fellowship with God. What else?
Sin is something that looks good at first.
Sin usually looks good at first.
Dakle, grijeh je nešto što uvijek u početku izgleda dobro.
Satan has never tempted me with broccoli.
Sotona me nikad nije kušao brokolom.
If Satan would just tempt me with broccoli all the time, I'd be fine.
Da me Sotona kušao brokolom, ja bi bio bez problema, bez grijeha.
But he's smarter than that.
Ali on je puno mudriji od toga.
What else?
It's just a laugh at
Sin comes from a failure in our trust,
Znači,
trust in God.
grijeh je nedostatak povjerenja u Boga.
Selfishness and all that desire.
Yeah. Isn't there a verse in there somewhere that talks about the lust of the eyes and the lust of the flesh and the
Znači,
pride of life? And
grijeh je naša sebičnost. I negdje u Bibliji piše da je grijeh požuda očiju i požuda tijela.
And in James, I think James 4, it talks
I u
about
Jakovu 4
how our desires are taken over by Satan. Our desires for good things.
kako naše želje, pa makar to bile želje za dobrim stvarima, ali Sotona obuzima naše želje. I loše stvari s njima.
I want to suggest to you, this isn't out of the Bible, but I think it's true. This is let me say that differently. The Bible doesn't specifically say this, but I think this is a biblical truth.
Nešto bi podijelio s vama, ne piše izričito u Bibliji, ali ja smatram da je to jedno od biblijskih istina.
Nobody knows you better than Satan does.
Nitko vas ne poznaje bolje od Sotona.
Except for God.
Možda jedino Bog.
And Satan knows what buttons to push.
I Sotona zna gdje ste najranjiviji.
Satan knows what your weaknesses are better than you know what your
On
weaknesses are.
zna koje su vaše slabosti bolje nego što vi znate.
Satan knows the things that you've been hurt by.
Sotona zna koje stvari su vas povrijedile.
Satan knows the people that you've been angry at for years.
Zna ljude na koje se ljutite već godinama.
Even when you don't think you're angry, Satan knows if you're angry.
Čak i ako vi niste svjesni da ste ljuti, Sotona zna kad ste ljuti.
Or if you're hurt, or if you're vulnerable.
Ili povrijeđeni, ili ranjivi.
Satan knows you better than you know yourself.
Sotona vas poznaje bolje nego što poznajete sami sebe.
And he is a master at pushing your buttons.
I on je strašno dobar i iskusan u tome da vas pikne baš tamo gdje treba.
So don't mess with him.
I zato se ne igrajte sa Sotonom.
And don't let him in.
I nemojte ga puštati blizu.
There are times in your day
Ima razdoblja u vašem danu
when you need to stop thinking about what you're thinking
kada trebate prestati razmišljati o onome o čemu razmišljate
and just ask yourself, is that from God or is that from Satan?
i upitati sami sebe, je li to od Boga ili je to od Sotona.
When you're thinking about how someone has hurt you,
Kada razmišljate o tome kako vas je neko povrijedio
or when you're thinking about how irritated you are at someone that made you mad,
ili koliko vas živcira neko na koga ste ljuti.
those things don't come from God. Where do they come from?
Te stvari ne dolaze od Boga. Od koga onda dolaze?
To quote my favorite preacher from America, they come from the pit of hell and they smell like smoke.
Da citiram svog omiljenog propovjednika, on kaže dolaze iz dubina pakla i smrde po dimu.
That's Satan, and that's how Satan attacks you.
I tako vas Sotona napada.
Satan reminds you that your feelings are hurt or that you're angry.
Sotona vas podsjeća da ste ljuti. Podsjeća vas da vam je neko povrijedio osjećaj.
Satan reminds you of the time that you got left out.
Podsjeća vas na sve one pute kada ste bili izdvojeni, kad niste dobili ono što ste htjeli.
Or the time when your brother or your sister got something good that you wanted but you didn't get.
Ili kada je vaš brat ili sestra dobio nešto dobro, a ti nisi.
And he's a master at rubbing your face in that.
I vrlo stručno vam zna utrljat facu u to što vas smeta.
That comes from the devil, and don't let it in. Don't play with
To
it.
dolazi od Sotone. Nemojte puštati to blizu sebe.